afternoon, everyone, and hello. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Today, we are going to talk about BMC Helix Remedyforce. And obviously, BMC has changed the name of Remedyforce, and our very own Kyle Hamilton here at Flycast Partners is going to give us a take on what this tool really is. He's an experienced principal consultant with a history of working in the information technology services industry for probably over 20 years, strong consulting and skilled in business service management, network automation, ITIL processes, and ITIL service management. Before we get started, Kyle, let me introduce our organization. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience. Founded and staffed by personnel that have many years of experience in the IT space, we took the best ideas from these collective experiences and added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class implementation services and training in IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, enterprise service management, and workload automation spaces using ITIL best practices. Our professional services team could easily scale up or down to meet the IT needs of any customer, regardless of your size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to reinforce your company's long-term IT success. Our ongoing remote administration and support service offerings will enable your organization to focus on those normal day-to-day operations, saving you both precious time and money. I encourage you to reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or visit us on the web at www.flycastpartners.com. Our IT experts are standing by to answer your questions through our chat Monday through Friday during normal business hours. I encourage you to poke around our website a little bit and check out some of the events that we have going on, some of the upcoming webinars that may interest you or your coworkers. We have a great CMDB webinar coming up next week. Pretty excited about that one. We haven't done that in a while. And you can also check out the different technologies that we offer here at Flycast Partners. Now, without further delay, I'm going to change this over to none other than Kyle Hamilton. And Kyle, I'm passing it over to you. Audience, I want to remind you, should you have any questions at all today, please type those in the question Q&A section of this GoToWebinar tool, and we'll be happy to ask those questions of Kyle live today and try and get the answers for you. Kyle, your screen looks great.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Rich. And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day to attend. As Rich mentioned, I'm a sales engineer at Flycast. For about the past 5 years, I spent the previous 20 or so years with BMC as the vendor. So what we're looking at today is the Remedyforce solution from BMC. For those that this is their first glance, this is their 100% SaaS-based offering. So this is completely driven via the browser. Requires no hardware or software to be installed, whatsoever on site. So it's very quick to deploy. Typically takes about 15 minutes to be ready to log in, and it's very easy to configure. It's also an enterprise class tool. This can suit environments all the way from 5-seat smaller shops all the way up to 5,000-seat enterprise service desks. So not only does it scale well, but it also includes a comprehensive set of ITIL modules, from incident to problem to change to release to service level management, configuration management, and on. It also includes an out-of-the-box discovery engine, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So if you have never embarked upon building a CMDB, not quite sure how to get started, there's some great tools built into Remedyforce out of the box to help you get that populated and get on your way. So I'm going to go through and talk about really a couple different interfaces and cover a few of the basics for those that this is, again, the first glance. I'm also going to focus on and feature some of the maybe lesser known, lesser used components of Remedyforce that provide tremendous value, but for the majority of customers, maybe they don't find them, don't know that they're there. So for those of you that may be familiar with Remedyforce, hopefully this will provide some added benefit for you as well. I'm going to start off and give you a brief glance at Remedyforce from a customer perspective. So the screen that is currently up is what's referred to as the Remedyforce self-service portal. So this is designed specifically for the end user. It's important to note that you don't have to purchase licenses for the self-service users. So everything that's done through this particular console can be done without having to purchase a license. And those capabilities are configurable. And you'll see in my environment here, I've got everything from knowledge-based articles and self-help articles to quick templates for common issues, as well as being able to expose a service catalog of requests to the users. And everything in terms of content through this portal can be searched by using the simple search or description box you see right up here at the top. So typical for an end user would be to typically, just ask their question, start typing their keyword or topic, and it's going to immediately begin searching through all of those content sources and providing some results for them to be able to browse. Hopefully, of course, you've maybe got an FAQ or some type of a how-to that users can simply, retrieve, pull up, hopefully resolve their own issues. Whether it's an FAQ, a problem solution, some kind of how-to article, they can include, as you can see, everything from graphics to embedded links to other sites or other documentation. If you've got things like SharePoint or other file shares that you'd like them to be able to access, so they can navigate from these articles perhaps to other repositories. And you also have the ability to capture feedback and ratings on those articles. So as they browse, and if they are happy with what they find, they're able to find a solution, they can provide some feedback. And of course, there's some out-of-the-box reports and out-of-the-box dashboards that allow you to report on those metrics. So you can use that information to help curate, manage, and build that knowledge base, determine what needs to be updated, what perhaps needs to be deleted outright, or perhaps even maybe what needs to be created based on the questions that those users are asking. Now, in addition to the knowledge base, based on their topic, there may also be a simple template for them to be able to click on and submit, those common issues you deal with all the time. So that way, whatever questions you may normally ask from them, categorization, description, prioritize, whatever those may be, you can have those things pre-templated and filled so that the users don't have to do anything except verify that what they see within that template is what they're looking for and their actual issue. And they simply hit the submit button down here at the bottom. You also notice that it's going to go ahead and do an automatic search through that knowledge base, so that if they didn't pay attention to it the first time, hopefully they pay attention to it the second time and are able to leverage some of that knowledge-based content rather than having to hit that submit button. Now, in addition to searching through the templates and the knowledge-based articles, Remedyforce provides you the ability to expose a service catalog. There's roughly, let's say, 45 out-of-the-box templates that are available to you. So these are all built from the forms to the notification processes to approvals if necessary, and all the workflow behind it, so that you can use these things right out of the gate and don't have to start from scratch. But of course, you can also go in and reconfigure those according to your specific needs. They're everything from IT requests to facilities requests, with office moves and equipment transfers, all the way to things like HR, benefits questions. I need to onboard an employee, I need to offboard an employee, and things of that nature. This last tab, the broadcast feature, corresponds to the scrolling banner you see up at the top. It's a way for you to be able to publish information and make users aware of events, outages, or it may be something as simple as telling them Happy Halloween. You can publish those broadcasts globally. You can direct them to a particular department or group. You can also direct them to a particular individual if it's something that specific. So those broadcasts can be used to get information out into the hands of the users that are impacted or affected or that you're wishing to make contact with. Now, you'll also notice just over here on the left-hand side, there's a navigator bar that's configurable along with everything that we've seen again on the home page. Excuse me. So some customers, you might not have a knowledge base ready to go. You may not be ready to start exposing service catalog. It makes it very simple to go in and with a check of a box, disable those features, remove those from the console, as well as be able to brand and skin this portal, apply your own graphics, change the color schemes, adjust the fonts and mouse over functionality and things like that. So you can easily blend it into the current environment. Now, again, corresponding to the broadcast information, you can add additional features, such as allowing them to actually browse services that user has access to gain access to current status. Hopefully, everything's in the green. But again, if I see a message scrolling across the top related to my email service, I can drill down further to take a look at that particular service. And if I want to get any kind of updates or automated notifications when that particular issue is resolved, all I have to do is check the box here. And that way I can opt in to be notified as soon as things are repaired and I can get back into my email in this case. Now, in addition to that, you can also do things like manage approvals. Another way is to be able to engage the business users without having to purchase a license for those that do not live and breathe within the service desk, but they have routine need to come in and review a request, review a change that's been submitted, and provide some kind of approve reject decision. So you can also expose those approvals directly through here. Users can also approve via email, or of course they can log in through the analyst or the license portal to do the same. Now, in addition to being able to submit incidents, I mentioned the service request, and what I've done here is I've gone ahead and pre-built an onboarding request for a user, so you didn't have to sit through my typing. And you'll see within this form that this is where you can build specific questions, looking for responses from the user related to who's being onboarded, when do they need to start, what kind of employee are they contract employee, are they part-time, what kind of access do they need, what kind of equipment do they need, what kind of system access or application access do they need. So again, these are kind of the out-of-the-box formats. You can easily adjust these based on your specific needs to ask the questions that are relevant for your environment. And just like I've done in this case, if they're going through and completing or building a request, and they get distracted or they need to take a break or something else happens they need to pay attention to, they can easily save those things off as draft copies, come back in a later time, come back and pull it up and review it. And then once they're happy with all those options, they can go ahead and submit that request. Now, once those requests get submitted, of course, then your staff have access to those through the staff interface, which we'll take a look at now. So if you're an internal user of Remedyforce, whether it's your frontline service desk, some escalation group, level 2, level 3 support, those people that are going to be responding, then this would be their interface that they deal with. They all have a landing page or a home page, and this is your opportunity to present anything that you feel is relevant and important for them to pay attention to. Could be their assigned tickets, could be reporting, dashboard information you want to present. It could be approvals that they need to pay attention to. You can also put things from all the way from calendaring to integrations into collaboration tools, whether that be Skype for Business, Slack, Yammer, Jabber, ICQ, you name it. This homepage is completely configurable in terms of what kind of content you wish to make available and want to highlight when those users log in. Well, typically, once that user gets through the home page and has paid attention to everything that you've presented there, and they're quickly going to go into what's referred to the Remedyforce console. And the console is where they can gain access to all the incidents and requests and tasks and changes and problems that they need to deal with. And based on their role and their access, they'll be able to open up those different modules through a simple drop down you see in the upper left-hand corner. And one important thing to note, and one thing that's unique about Remedyforce, is it gives you the ability to work with mass requests or multiple requests. In most cases, you're going to have to go in and open up one record at a time, whether you're just trying to add some notes, whether you're trying to reassign it to another group or team, change the priority to get more focus. Within Remedyforce and within the console, you also have the ability to do mass updating. So if I want to work with a particular record, I simply click on the record number and it's going to open up in its own tab for me to be able to view the contents. Now I can go in and make adjustments, reassign this particular incident to another group or team by using these queue and staff fields you see down here at the bottom. So if I needed to reassign this email and messaging ticket to another group, I can easily call them out, or if I need to send it to somebody specific on that team, I can even browse the users of that team if I know exactly who it needs to go to. If you want to integrate into things like Outlook calendaring, so that you know who's in the office, who's out of office, we can even automate that so it'll flag you and just give you a reminder that you may be sending something to somebody that may be gone for several days, if not several weeks, so it doesn't fall into a black hole. Now, if you want to work with multiple records rather than dealing with things independently, then I can also go through and use these simple checkboxes over on the left-hand side to do any kind of mass updates. So if I've completed or resolved all 5 of these particular incidents, maybe I want to change the owner and reassign it to another group or team, or maybe I want to update some other value that's displayed. So if these are all completed incidents, then I'm ready to go ahead and close those rather than having to go in and open them up one by one. I make those selections with the checkboxes, and 50, 100, 1,000 records can be moved, updated all in one fell swoop. Now, going back to this individual record, you also see down at the bottom that there's a section called Smart Suggestions. So for the internal users, they also have access to knowledge-based content that's suggested to them, being able to understand user history, having access to templates that they can use to speed up data entry, just like your customer end user, as well as relating this particular incident back to some known event that's been broadcast out. So if those things are related, I can use some of that content. I can link that knowledge article and push that into the resolution. If it's an incident that is related to some broadcasted event, I can also just link that directly to it, so that from that point on, I don't have to come back and update a bunch of individual incidents. Those things can be grouped together and updated as a group, whether it's 20 incidents or 2,000, so that you'll see everything from the description of the resolution to the notes will simply get appended as those events get worked on. Now, just over to the right-hand side is a little pop-out window or pull-out window. This is where you can do everything from record all your work activity, what you're doing, any kind of notes or time spent working on a particular issue, as well as generating any kind of correspondence, questions to the user, questions and communications to other staff. Provides full breadth of email functionality, from being able to CC and BCC other users. You can build pre-built response templates. So if you've got standard responses you want to send out to customers, rather than having to type things over and over again, then I can easily select from a template and be able to send a user bulk of information out of that incident and give them an update without having to go through and manually recreate this notification each and every time. And as long as I'm going through this portal to generate all that content, all of that back and forth communication will be logged within that journal. Now, just below here is also where incident management dovetails into the CMDB. I mentioned earlier there's an out-of-the-box discovery engine that can be used to sweep your network, populate your IT assets into the CMDB, which you'll see right up top here is where I have access to be able to view all of those assets. Everything from my desktops to my laptops to software that I'm managing to non-IT equipment. Could be everything from maintenance equipment, emergency equipment, fire extinguishers, tools, tablets, you name it. You can customize and configure the different types of assets you manage. So if you have a need to manage things like office furniture, desks and credenzas and bookcases, then you can easily manage those within the CMDB as well. They don't have to be discovered. You can come in and create those items and assets directly within the CMDB interface to be able to manage anything that you need to manage the life cycle of within your environment. Now, the link that's provided here allows me to browse that content so I can actually see which devices with that particular user. If they have desktop, laptop,
Oh, we lost your audio there. Are you there, Kyle?
box.
There we go. We lost your audio there, Kyle. So if you could, we've got you back audio-wise, but if you can go back to what you were saying before you just filled that box out, that would help. About a minute or two back.
Okay. So the link that's provided in this pop-out window corresponds to the field that you see just down below in the form as well. So I have the ability to link a particular item or asset to this incident by pulling up this list. In contrast, I don't even have to pull open that window if I don't need to. I can simply drop down to the bottom of the form and I can pull open the same list here. I can also create business cards that allow me to view some details for that asset, so I can make sure that I'm linking the specific serial number asset tag to the ticket that this particular customer is reporting an issue with. Now, that's going to allow you to build history for that asset, so you can view what's happened to it over time and track all that service and support information. And in addition to that, there's also the ability to go pull open the CMDB interface where you can view other related assets, everything from other applications and devices that particular asset communicates with or relies upon, all the way into things like physical location, contract and support information. So I can see exactly which office this user's sitting in. I can see exactly which physical location they're in, and I can even expand out that location if I want to take a look at conference rooms, other offices, other equipment at that location, to look at their status and get a better idea of whether it's truly something that's a local issue specific to that user, or if it's something that's further upstream that's likely to impact other users as well. Just down to the bottom, there's also a pull open window where I can also view all the historical information for that device. So any kind of activity that's been recorded against it, all the other incidents and changes and requests and problems that have been logged for that particular device, desktop in this case, and really kind of its full audit trail from the time it enters the environment up until the time that it gets retired or disposed of, so that you can track its progress and be able to view that audit trail when somebody calls up and has a problem, understand how it got to that point, who had it 6 months ago, when was software installed, when did it get deployed, things of that nature, to provide some subject matter expertise that they might not have otherwise. Now, in addition to being able to pull information out of the CMDB, there's also plugin capability. We have a desktop agent referred to as BMC Client Management, and that's going to give you additional capabilities on those CMDB items and assets. So if I need to pull up a more granular look at hardware and software configuration, then I can query that device via that desktop agent, be able to see exactly what kind of hardware they have, what kind of software and licensing is installed on the device, all the way to things like security and financial details if you're tracking things like cost and depreciation and warranty and support dates, and things of that nature. Then if I need to actually work with that device, make some type of repair, then the same agent that's on that desktop gives me the ability to open up a remote control session to be able to go in and edit their registry, to stop and start a process, to kill a service, whatever it is I need to do. I can now interact with that device remotely. It makes it easy for the staff because it all in a single pane of glass. They don't have to either escalate this ticket to some other group or team, nor do they have to log into some other tool or open up some other interface to be able to work with that device. Everything can be done directly from that incident that user is dealing with. That can also be expanded all the way out to what they call advanced actions. So if you're doing any kind of desktop management, patching, software installations, other types of fixes, then I can create a set of those commands so that I can execute those on those remote devices as well. Everything from being able to restart their device all the way to being able to initiate virus scans and remap drive shares and put desktop shortcuts back for users that might have inadvertently deleted them. This gives service desk staff the ability to implement fixes that they might not otherwise have the skill set to do, or maybe missions to be able to do. But you can easily make those things available to them so they can access those software installs, those patch installs, or those daily, common fixes. So through that desktop agent, they're able to resolve, a much higher percentage of issues than if they had to, simply forward this on or escalate this ticket to another group or team. And all of that detail and information gets tracked as a part of the ticket so that you're not reliant on staff to have to manually input and keep that information up to date. Those things are automatically logged, so you've got a good audit trail and history of all of that support activity, whether it's just work and notes that the user enters in directly to the journal or to the activity log, or whether it's one of those actions that they take via that desktop agent to reinstall software, or in this case, simply repair or restore a desktop shortcut for the user. Now, in terms of automation, like with the new hire request as an example, I can also have access to what we call a smart view, which gives me more of a graphical view as opposed to the typical form. This way I can see all the details of the request presented over on the right-hand side. If I'm doing any kind of service level management and service tracking, I'll be able to see what kind of timers are applied to that request and how much time remains. I can also send out notifications within, escalation points within those SLAs to make sure that everybody's aware as that ticket ages, then it may be getting ready to breach or get close to breaching that particular service level agreement. And you'll see examples of those here within, my email, where it may let me know that, 5% of the time is already expired, or you're 50% of the way there, you got 10 minutes left, you got 5 minutes left, however you'd like to count that down for those users so that everybody's aware that those timers are ticking away and hopefully nothing falls through the cracks. Now, as I mentioned, you can also set up things like approval processes on different types of records. In this case, a service request, and they can simply respond to an email. If they want to approve that way, there's mobile apps for iOS and Android. They could do approvals through there. They could log into the self-service portal and do it, or they could simply log into the analyst interface to be able to approve or reject a given request. They may also see this right there on their homepage when they log in. So by the time they've gotten to this point, hopefully they've already gone through those approvals that are there on that landing page, and there'd be no need to have to come down and approve it at this level. Then based on automation and the template for your particular process, then the system can go about creating all the tasks and assignments to actually onboard the user. So notifying all the different groups and teams that they've got a task to be completed, so that everybody gets notified, whether those can be created and completed in parallel, or whether those things need to be sequenced in a particular order based on dependencies from one task to the next. And not only do they have visibility to these tasks, but again, over on the right-hand side, they have the same activity window where they could make their notes and record their updates. When they're finished working on a particular task or request, they can also go in and update the status of that request. So once they're completed, they can go in and close those things out, so that anybody following along, whether it's another staff member or whether it's the end user simply monitoring this through the self-service portal, they can see exactly what's been closed, what's still in progress, and what has yet to be started. So it gives everybody a good idea of where they are in the process, and hopefully avoid any follow-up phone calls and emails that would typically follow, just trying to get status and update information. Now, the other key, or another key benefit of Remedyforce is it has a rich set of reports and dashboards that are very easy to use. I've used probably several dozen reporting tools in the past, all the way from Crystal to SQL reporting services. Many of them are very complex. They require a deep level of knowledge. Typically from a database standpoint, having to understand tables and field joins, in and outer joins, and being able to get to the data and construct a report typically requires a dedicated report writer. Whereas with Remedyforce, whether it's CMDB information you're looking to report off of, or assets and items, whether it's incidents, or it's the knowledge base, you've got a simple set of reports out of the box. There's roughly 100 that BMC provides in the out of the box library. So if you're looking to report on knowledge article usage, for example, they're giving you feedback and ratings, being able to simply dive in and get information about which articles are being looked at, which ones are being used. So again, you have some metrics to help you curate and manage the knowledge base. If you don't find something out of the box, it's also very easy to construct reports from scratch, or modify the existing reports without having to have a dedicated report writer. So anybody can easily come in and build a report without having to have database experience. Everything in the Remedyforce environment is flattened, so you don't have to understand anything related to tables and joins and things like that. It simply gives me access to all the fields of information related to my incident in this case. And I can take those and drag those out into my report columns as I need. So if I grab all the relevant information, I can either drag it and drop it into the column set here, or I can do the same thing just by dropping it directly into the report. It makes it very simple, no matter how the user wants to do it. So as they go through and grab all the relevant details, they simply take those fields of information, put them in the report where they want. Grab it. And once they get the report, kind of all the columns of information that they want, Let's say we'll grab maybe the owner, and let's grab maybe status. So as I add all my fields and get everything laid out, then I can collapse this section and go out starting to group and kind of organize the report, which again I can do over here just in the navigator on the left hand side, or I can go through and do the same, the equivalent action just by selecting that column. So if I want to group things based on that owner field, I can simply call that out in the drop down window search box over here, or I can simply click the drop down to make those groups off any column that I want. Just next to that is your filtering section. So you want to be able to choose which records you want to report on, whether it's everything or some subset, based on status, based on open date or close date and time. So you can easily filter the report results down to just those that you're looking for. So if I only want records opened in the current year, then I can easily get to that particular set of records. And if I want to go in and filter out things based on status, because I don't want to see anything that's closed as an example, and I can easily say, I want to make sure that that status field doesn't contain anything like closed, and get rid of everything else so that I'm only left with those things that are still in an open state. Just to the top, I have a chart button, which allows me to add my graphics, my bar charts, pie charts, and donuts and things of that nature. Put your titles, add your mouse over functionality and things like that you want to give to the user. So you can easily construct those graphics and summary views at the top of your report, and then simply save this report just like a file on your hard drive, and have that saved right back to that report library, so that the next time I come back, if I want to get back to my report, now it's in that library and I can simply click on it and I get the results that I want exactly. You can use the numbers, the incident numbers or the request numbers or change numbers, whatever report you're building, to be able to drill down back to a detailed page. If you need to look at all the activity in the notes, you can drill down and take a look at that. If you want to subscribe or get this report on a regular basis, there's also an ability to simply go in and set it up on a schedule. I want it every morning at 8 a.m. or I want it once a week, every Friday afternoon. I can come in and subscribe myself or others to this report so that they don't have to log in and run it manually each and every time, but simply receive that as an email in their mailbox. The dashboards allow you to take the different reports, either those from the out of the box library or those that you build, and construct views out of those so that each one of these represents an individual report on a single dashboard. If I want to take a look at the details of any one report, I can click on my dashboard, that little link at the bottom, and it's going to take me back to that report view. And if I want to go in and edit it, I can click this button and make some changes to it, save another copy. If I want to subscribe to it, and I can just click that subscription box. Or if I want to take a report that I've just constructed and make it a part of a dashboard, then I can come in and browse through those reports. So if I've got a new report that I've created, I can pull that in, either reformat it for myself or accept it as is, and then I can lay it out on the dashboard the way that I want. So if I want to make room by getting rid of other reports, I want to grab my existing dashboard and move it somewhere up in that view, replace something else, or I simply want to expand this out, maybe leave enough room that I may even add another report over here to this dashboard so that I can update those views very easily. That way, anybody monitoring this dashboard can easily add a new report that they can then view the next time they go to pull that up or refresh that, in which case they also have the same capability to be able to go in and create dashboards for around incident management. You may want to create dashboards on your assets. You may want to create knowledge management dashboard. It's going to take all the feedback and ratings on the knowledge articles that you're capturing. So again, you've got good metrics around all those different processes that a manager or executive could easily look at to help determine what needs to be created or deleted from that knowledge base. These can be refreshed, throughout the day as needed. You're always looking at up-to-date information. And if they want to subscribe to the dashboard, and again, it simply becomes an email that they receive. So I can have the exact same information in my mailbox once a day that I can get just by logging in and running that dashboard myself, whether it's incident information, whether it's customer survey results that I'm monitoring and tracking. And we got an easy way to get those reports and dashboards in the hands of the people that want them and need them, whether it is a dashboard or whether it's a simple report. I got a revenue report I've got here, so that every day I come into the office and all my reports and all my metrics are there waiting to review. If I don't have time to look at them today, tomorrow morning I'm going to get an up-to-date copy and maybe I'll take a look at them at that point. Now there's also the ability to integrate this tool into external applications. There is a robust set of RESTful APIs you can use to easily tap into everything from Office 365 to SolarWinds to SCCM. If you're looking to pull in data from an existing asset database you have, you want to grab your Active Directory information and pull your user accounts in. This is just a smattering of the out-of-the-box integrations, but you can also build other third-party interfaces just as easily to be able to leverage those external tools. One nice thing to mention that it's not widely known, but you can also take and build the Remedyforce interface directly into a user's mail client. Give them access to be able to do everything they need to do without even leaving Outlook. They can access knowledge-based articles, hopefully, self-help right there from an email box. If they need to create a service desk ticket, have the form available to them right here so that they don't have to send, emails and have to process those, but be able to ask them all the relevant questions, but without having to go and navigate to that self-service portal, all the way to being able to show them, their assigned tickets, or be able to, collaborate via Slack, or get notified that there's an approval, that they're required to respond to. So you get, badging in here just like they would on a mobile device or a tablet, letting them know that there's something to be approved or reviewed, all the way to being able to configure the ability to create, other types of records, whether it's change requests or knowledge-based articles. Really, this interface here is just as configurable as the standard self-service portal, so that this is just an easy way. Anybody on the phone is like most customers, they're finding it difficult to get users out of the habit of sending in emails and getting to the self-service portal. So that's a nice way, a stopgap or a halfway point, so that rather than hitting that new email button and sending an email to the service desk and creating a ticket, then you've got an easy way to be able to create that ticket and put some requirements around it by simply taking that self-service interface and pushing it right into their email client. And then we kind of blaze through a lot, and we're right at the end of the meeting time. But Rich, I wanted to open up and see if we've got any questions via the chat we can answer, or
no, we don't have any questions just yet. But I tell you what, folks, if you have a question, by all means, go ahead and type it in, and we'll answer it. And while we're waiting for you to type in your questions, I have a couple polls for you guys that I've uploaded here. Does your organization have its ITSM tool in the cloud? How many of you folks are already using ITSM in the cloud? I'm curious to know, because it seems to be trending. Everybody seems to be going to the cloud. And so it looks like right now we've got 67% of you that do not have your tool in the cloud, and the majority of you have voted. So that's interesting. It went up even more. There we go. People are still responding. 60%, 100% votes. 60% do not have your tool in the cloud currently. That's interesting, especially with the trends that we see going on today. I have another poll while we're waiting for questions to come in. Folks, remember, you can just type your question in the question section provided on this application. What are some of the key features that you look for in an ITSM tool? Now, this is kind of an important one, and here's a few features that seem to be more popular with folks. Are you looking for more automation? Are you looking for end user portal capabilities? Is it expandable to problem, CMDB, change, or other types of ITIL processes or practices? And reporting capabilities, and that has a tendency to be a popular one, but it looks not in this audience though. It looks 60% of you, 100% reporting, 60% of you are into automation. That's what you're looking for, is more automation. That's good to know. 40% of you said end user portal capabilities. Folks, are there any other questions that anybody has? Kyle's more than happy to answer. Oh, here we go. Here's a question right here. Let's go ahead and find out what we got. Does the dashboard integrate with Microsoft Teams? Boy, that's a popular question nowadays.
Absolutely. So you can, and that's a good point. One of the most powerful components or features of Remedyforce is the fact that it is riding on the force.com platform from Salesforce. What that means is you've got access to the Salesforce App Exchange. In here, and you'll see over here in this category listing, you're going to find applications for everything from finance, legal, HR, and by virtue of the fact that these are all built on the Force platform, all of these applications can be downloaded and used in the same environment. They can share a single logon. You can have a single admin because they're all administered in the same way. You all build reports on them the same way, build dashboards the same way. So when it comes to integrations with external tools and things like that, like Office 365 or JD Edwards or SAP, you're going to find, in many cases, just in this search alone, we've got 177 different integrations, right, to different tools. Some of these are going to be free, you'll see. Some of them are paid, depending upon depth of functionality. It's very much like iTunes or Google Play. But what makes it nice is if you, in each one of these that you look at, typically is going to have its own, ratings. There's going to be videos, customer reviews to be able to look at. And if you find something that that fits a particular need that may be very different than IT service management, all it requires is for you to say, get it now, you put in your ID and password, and it's going to install in about 5 minutes. And now you've got a new app to be able to use. Many of these are focused on integrations. Some of them are just focused on providing other business functions or other business value. So we've been looking at Remedyforce as a service desk, but you'll notice in my environment here, these are other applications that I've downloaded from that App Exchange into this same instance. So if I'm done working on the service desk and looking at my incidents and tasks that I've been assigned, maybe I need to go in and update a project that I'm also working on, or maybe I need to create a project. So I can then flip over to another application that is now built out for a very different purpose, tracking, budgets and expenses, giving me, Gantt charts and views on my project. And again, all of this, when it comes time to report on a project, in this case, when I click on reports in project management and I go to, new report, the only difference you'll see is instead of typing incident here, I'm going to type project. Now I can come in and I can build a project report in the exact same way that I did, for the incident. Same capabilities, the filter and add fields. So again, you can We have customers that start off with service desk as that initial purpose that they get on the platform, but then as they get comfortable and start to enjoy the benefits, they start looking to find out, well, what else is out there that we could perhaps get rid of another server, another piece of infrastructure, and start to use this for much, much more, whether it's project management, whether it's budgeting and purchasing. There's development tools related to ITIL, right? So all of these can be used within the same environment. And now maybe I'm coming in as a development manager, and I want to come in and manage a development project. So I can take work assignments and user stories and things like that in here and assign those to different phases and different users, and use this for something very different. But you're able to leverage that same administrator. So the more and more you pack into this instance, the more and more you can get rid of infrastructure, and not have to deal with, Rich was talking about, cloud-based. One of the big benefits of cloud-based is you don't have a server to license, you don't have a SQL database or Oracle database to license, and you don't have to deal with upgrades. Remedyforce customers are always on the latest version as soon as it's released automatically. They get pushed in, typically overnight or over the weekend. You never even know it. That way you can take advantage of new features and functionality and benefit from fixes, but you're no longer contacting support. You're not downloading anything, having to schedule downtime and go through manual cycles. My environment is updated. Typically, there's 2 major releases a year with some fixes in between as needed. And I have absolutely no knowledge of when those happen other than when I log in, it lets me know that my environment's been updated. So I can go in and start turning on new features and things like that. But it's certainly a much easier environment to manage if you're used to doing things on premises.
Brent wants to know, how about Jira? Will it integrate with Jira?
It absolutely integrates with Jira. I would say Jira may be the #1 integration that we build on a regular basis. And again, I always recommend customers, before you start, you can always build an integration yourself, using the APIs that are available. However, I need to get an App Exchange. However, I always recommend that you go to the App Exchange first and do a search on that application, because 9 times out of 10, you can see there's 16 Jira interfaces, right? Salesforce and Jira, Agile Connect to Jira. That way, if there's something off the shelf, again, you can see this one's paid, probably, basically integrated everything across the board. But in many cases, like with Jira, you're wanting to take, basically a Jira bug report or a bug ticket within Jira, and you want to create an incident within Remedyforce or vice versa. And so in many cases, with this Automate here is the free tool that'll allow you to pull in Jira information, right? So you can keep your cases in Jira synced in here, and this will take you about 5 minutes to set up. And Jira and Remedyforce are passing data back and forth without any manual effort.
Great questions, folks. Are there any last minute questions out there, folks? This is your opportunity. We have about 5 more minutes, and I have one final poll that I'm taking here. I'm going to launch that out there. Does your organization have a new ITSM tool initiative? Let us know what's going on. Can we help you find a new tool? That's what we're here for. That's what Flycast partners, we can help you not only find that tool and solution, but we can help you get it up and running, and everything in between. So let's see, how many of you have a new initiative? It looks like 67% of you so far do not have a new initiative. We have about 33% that do. So yeah, that's pretty good. We got most of you have voted. With that being said, I don't see any more questions here, Kyle. So I think that these guys are satisfied with everything that you shared today.
Well, excellent. We certainly appreciate everybody's time.
Absolutely. We appreciate all your time, folks. Kyle, thank you for taking time out of your busy day, because I know how your days can be. And audience, we'll see you next week. Next week is our big CMDB webinar. That is a don't miss type of an event. Definitely you'll want to tune into that. It's being presented by Chuck Spencer. With That being said, folks, enjoy your weekend and have a great, safe Halloween this evening.
Thanks, everybody.